Hey guys, it's Melanie. Today we are revisiting an older video of mine called Candle Crock 101. You hear me referencing that particular video many times on my channel whenever I'm doing my weekly home fragrance roundup or my monthly empties. I talk about this thing called a candle crock. This is a candle crock. The video that I did is probably 4 or 5 years old. Honestly, I don't even know when I uploaded it, but I figured it might be kind of time to redo it. I think I still had very short, very blonde hair back then. And you know, I feel like after using the candle crock now for like years, maybe I can provide some different feedback. I don't know. I just thought it'd be kind of fun to revisit it and reference people to this newer candle crock video instead of the super old one that I did. So let's get into it. What is a candle crock? A candle crock is, I feel like the best way to explain this is it's like a crock pot for your candles. You can put candles in here that don't behave, which is fantastic because instead of feeling like you just need to get rid or toss a flawed candle, whether it has drowning wicks or puny wicks, whether it just isn't very strong when you're burning it, whether you're just kind of bored with it, but you feel like you're not quite ready to like get rid of it entirely, but you just want to burn something different and maybe do something with that wax. If you are someone who will melt candles and make your own wax melts, this is helpful for that. It's just really, really super useful. Now, this particular one that I have here, I originally bought off of a website called candlewarmers.com. Now, I don't believe that they sell these candle crocks anymore. I will link down below several places that you can get some candle crocks, and this particular one, this really pretty like teal medallion style, was available for a short amount of time, and I was able to link it in a few of my videos, and some of you were able to pick it up. So many of you love this one, and obviously it's probably one of the more pretty ones. A lot of the candle crocks that I've seen out there have like inspirational quotes. That doesn't really fit in with my style or my decorating tastes. I like things to be a little bit more simple, not a lot of words, things like that. So I will link, if I can find this one again, I will link it down below. Otherwise, I will put out some nice plain suggestions, maybe in like some different colors. So there will be links down below. So the way that I typically use my candle crocks is any candle from oftentimes Bath and Body Works that has drowning wicks, or when it gets to the halfway point, it just kind of duds out or it starts to soot like crazy. Immediately, I will blow that particular candle out and I will put it into the crock. Now, I don't actually have, this is not a Bath and Body Works candle, but this does, and all of these candle crocks fit Yankee candles. So since they fit Yankees, you can also put Village candles in here. I've put Kringle candles in here. Even I think the Kringle Country line, that would fit in here. Most candles will fit in here from the different companies. Bath and Body Works for sure. What you're not going to be able to fit in here is Homeworks candles, but I do have kind of an alternative that I'll show you for Homeworks candles here in a minute. But anyway, so what you do is you take your candle that isn't behaving, or that you're bored with, or that's sooting, or that whatever. You're gonna stick it in here, and you've got your little clicker here. You can click it on. There is an indicator light that shows you that it's on, and this warms up. It does have little feet on the bottom, so like this hot, and it doesn't even get super hot, you guys. Like I can totally touch this when it's warm, and it's warm. The inside, definitely this metal part gets a little bit warmer. You don't want to be like sticking your fingers down in there and messing around with it, but the outside stays pretty cool. Now, a lot of people ask me, how long do I leave my candle crocks on once I put a candle in? Most times, honestly, 24 hours. I will just leave it on until the candle, until the wax no longer smells. So what you're doing is you're warming the wax. It's completely liquefied in the container inside. It's releasing the scent into the air. And then eventually you stop smelling the fragrance. And when that happens, I will turn this off. I let the candle solidify like I did with this one. And then after it's solidified, I will take the candle out and I will either put a new one in and turn it back on, or if I don't have a candle to plop in here, I will just leave it off. And then when I have one, I stick it in there. So that's how I use the Candle Crock. I don't make my own wax melts or anything like that, but if you're someone who needs a candle liquefied so that you can pour it into the silicone wax mold and then, you know, use those in like your more traditional warmer dishes, you can do that. I don't deal with that because I don't have time for that. I get the scent out of the wax melts by just having the whole thing liquefied. Now the element is at the bottom here. You can kind of see where it's like worn away a little bit down. This one's pretty old. This is my original one here. And what happens is that warms up all of this metal. And so it's like this whole thing in here is warm. So you can put a full candle in here. It's going to take some time to completely melt, but you can put an entire Yankee candle in here that you've never burned, and within like, for a full candle, it's probably going to take like several hours. I'm talking like 5-6 hours to melt the whole thing. But once it's liquefied, it stays liquefied. It's releasing that fragrance into the air, and then you can either turn it off every night and then turn it on when you wake up. I don't necessarily probably recommend leaving this on 24 hours a day, but I always have, and I've never had an issue. It's probably best to turn this off when you're sleeping at night. If I'm gonna be like responsible, Melanie, I'm gonna tell you to turn this off at night. So what's gonna happen is the element will obviously go off, the wax will solidify, and then when you turn it on the next day, the whole thing has to liquefy again. But once it does, you're releasing those, you know, fragrances into the air again, and then at night, turn it off. And so totally up to you. For me personally, I just put a candle in here and leave it. So that's how I use my Candle Crock. I find this to be so helpful, so incredibly helpful, because a lot of my Bath & Body Works candles soot quite a bit. They have drowning wicks, or in some cases more recently, I can barely smell them when they're burning. Now, for whatever reason, when I am warming the wax in the Candle Crock, I can smell the fragrance from the candle a lot more. I don't know why that is. I do not know the science behind that, but I do know that if a candle is a flop in the jar when I'm burning it, 9 times out of 10, when I put it in the crock, it performs so much better in terms of giving me fragrance. Obviously, you do not have the ambiance of having a lit candle, because do not put a candle in here, turn this on, and also light the candle. There's multiple hazards. The first of which is when you put a candle in here, there is always some glue at the bottom of, this one didn't have a label. Yeah, you can't really see it. The wicks are always glued to whatever candle it is that you are burning. Sometimes they use like a super glue, or like, it almost looks like a glue gun type of glue, but they glue the wicks down so that they don't travel. If you put this in the crock and you light it up, that glue is going to come loosened from the wick. That wick is going to travel. You can see here, this wick traveled over to this side of the jar. When you have a wick close to the glass, it's gonna crack. It's gonna crack the glass. It's gonna get too hot. It's going to burst. You're gonna have a mess on your hands. Also, when you are done releasing all the fragrance from the wax and you're ready to take this out, do not light this candle up again. Don't do it, because once again, this wick has traveled. There is no way for me to get it back to the center and to keep it there because the glue has loosened from the bottom of the wick clip and it's just traveling loose in there. You are going to create a fire hazard. Don't do it. Once you get to this point, this wax is done. I will do a video on some suggestions on what to do with your used wax. More times than not, I will put the containers in the freezer and the wax contracts from the side of the jar, and then I just pop it out and I will throw it away. There are things that you can do, and I'll talk about that in another video, but basically once you get to this point, unless you're reusing this wax for something else, you are not going to relight this candle. It's done. So that's very, very important. I do not want anyone to think that they can get all of the fragrance out of the wax and then use this for ambiance after. It's done. So keep that in mind. I find this to be such a super handy thing to have because a lot of my candles, especially like I said, the Bath & Body Works ones, misbehave towards the halfway point. It's a great way for me to continue to get my money's worth out of the candle because I'm using them mostly for home fragrance. I love ambiance, but for me, the most important part is that my house smells good. I could do it without the flame, which is why I also use Scentsy quite a bit. But I just find this to be such a helpful little tool for me so that I don't feel like I have to return every single Bath & Body Works candle that futzes out towards the halfway point. Because right now, the way things are going with a lot of these candles, I would be back at the store for at least 75% of the candles that I bought to either return or exchange them. I'm not going to do that. I am not that person. I am fine getting the home fragrance out of the candle by putting it in the Candle Crock. This was not a huge investment for me, and I get enjoyment out of the candles. So that's a Candle Crock. That is how you use them. Those are kind of the important safety things to remember. Really, the one thing I want to stress is once you put a candle in here, you're not going to light it again. So keep that in mind. All right, so here's another option, and this is actually still kind of warm. You can also purchase a warmer like this. This is what you would call an element warmer. This one here I ordered online. I think I got it off of Amazon or something like that, or maybe it was even candlewarmers.com. I can't quite remember, but moral of the story is this has like a little hot plate warmer, but you can see there's nothing on the sides. So this is really great for candles that are at least at the halfway point. So for example, typically on here, I will do Yankees that are halfway done. I will do Bath & Body Works candles that are halfway done. Candles that are full typically go in here because the sides warm up on this, and so they melt like a candle that is more full, whereas this only heats from the bottom, so it takes a really long time for this to melt like a full candle. Like it would probably take like a day. So this is a great option for candles that are at the halfway point at least. What's also great about this is then they come with a dish too, so if you want to use this like you would just a regular warmer, you just put the dish on top and turn it on, and then you can use this with your Walmart wax, with your vendor wax. I even put Scentsy in here. This is actually a Bath & Body Works candle that arrived shattered. It's pumpkin pie. So I just chopped up the wax and just put it in here. So that's really great for this. Also, I was gonna mention Homeworks. So if you have a Homeworks candle that is kind of halfway or beyond, or you have a Homeworks candle that you want to get that last little bit of fragrance, say it's one of your favorites. Obviously, it's not gonna fit in here. It's too wide. What you can do is have one of these and stick it on top. Here's the thing. There is not direct contact with the element. It kind of floats over top, but it does get warm enough to where it does warm up the glass. And if you have just a little bit of wax in here, it will melt it and you will get some more fragrance out of the wax. So that's an option for Homeworks candles, but you are not gonna put an entire Homeworks candle on here and expect it to melt it, because one, you're not getting that direct contact here because of this lip on the base. But yeah, there's just not enough heat that you're going to generate, but it does warm up the bottom of the jar and will melt wax that is kind of in this range of the candle. So below halfway point. So I have done that with some of my Homeworks candles and I certainly get a little bit more life out of them. I don't have a better solution for Homeworks other than putting it in the freezer. If you want to chunk them up, you can put the candle in the freezer and then pop it out and chunk it up then. And then you can certainly put it in here and stick it on there and go about your merry way and melt it that way. But my Homeworks candles tend to do pretty well and I burn them down to the bottom. So anyway, that's an option for your Homeworks candles, but I feel like these are both really great tools to have in your home fragrance toolkit. You know, besides like your different lighters and your scissors to clip your candles, or if you use like a wick dipper, that kind of stuff. If you don't have either of these two and you sometimes struggle with candles, this is a great thing to have. So at the very least, I would recommend getting an element type warmer like this where you can move the dish and have dual purpose. But I would really recommend investing in one of these Candle Crocks. Some of them are very unattractive, I'll be honest. A lot of the ones that I've seen online have like these inspirational quotes. They're not my style. This has always been my favorite, but there are some great neutral options out there. I'll link them down below for you. Just some basic like black or white, or I've seen a cobalt one. I don't know if you could spray paint. I don't know that I would get into that. I don't care that much. You could certainly kind of hide this in a corner in your kitchen or something like that. These luckily are kind of pretty, so I leave them out. But yeah, so that's the Candle Crock that I'm constantly referring to in a lot of my home fragrance roundups and my empties videos. That's how I use it. I think they're a great thing to have, especially if you have a lot of older Bath & Body Works candles, or you are someone who is not likely to return a candle if it doesn't perform for you. You know, if you hate to be that person, then this is a great way to get some more life out of those Bath & Body Works candles without just having them go to waste after the halfway point. So let me know if you own a Candle Crock. What do you love about it? What don't you love about it? Are you gonna go get one after this video? Have you ever even heard of them before? I mean, if you're new to my channel, you might be like, wow, fascinating. But I mean, so many of you have heard me reference this thing for so many years now. So anyway, let me know if you have any additional questions down below in the comments section, and I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. Links will be in the description box. Please subscribe if you're new for more home fragrance content, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye.